I ain't no altar boy. I ain't no yes man. No, no. You ain't no God of mine. No, I don't need your glasses to save me.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Crime Time Central. Live on Stand Against Dark Blue, Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have Bullycam Thursday. And yes, this is a black eye. This is black an eye as I've had in a very long time. Now, in my younger days, this is how I looked almost all the time. No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't that kind of hoodlum. Although it has been a while since I've had a shiner like this. And I wish it was a glamorous story. I would tell it to you. But since it's not, I shan't. Anyway, just kind of look past it. I know. I had to go to court today, and it just, I mean, you can't dress it up. I put a suit and a tie on, and it's still just a big fat black eye. Sorry. You just, it's like lipstick on a pig. Anyway. Hey, listen, thanks for joining us. We've got Bullycam Thursday, and I'm interested, as always, to hear what you think. First of all, if you're just joining us, if you're live on Facebook, we're starting to get some followers on a YouTube channel. And we started a few weeks ago with a big fat 0, and we're just building organically. And so if you're watching on Facebook, go over to YouTube and look for Stand Against Dark Blue and subscribe and follow us on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, go to Facebook and look for Stand Against Dark Blue and follow us on Facebook. We also have Crime Time Central podcast on Spotify, and you can subscribe and like us there so you get notified every time we go live. So, you know what Bullycam is. Bullycam Thursday starts out with a chief of security, and this individual is in the city of Stamford, 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 Connecticut. And apparently, this young man was protesting the use of eminent domain. And if you don't know what eminent domain is, then count yourself fortunate. The government can seize property, sometimes at will, that it deems better for them to own for the public good than for you to own. And they can just seize it. Obviously, that doesn't go without objection. And like it or not, this man was well within his rights to protest Stamford. Now, he used a sign that I don't think necessarily I would have used, and it just had the F word on it. It really didn't make a lot of sense to me why he insisted on having that sign, except for he just wanted he wanted the shock effect, I guess, of having the sign. That you'll see what it says in a minute. So in America, in pre-pandemic America, we used to be free to have our own opinion and free to exercise that opinion and speech. But there are so many people that believe that others have, that your right to free speech stops where somebody else is offended. And you couldn't be more wrong if you think that way. And the famous saying Joe Biden says a lot is, "Oh, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater." Well, yeah, you can. And I'm not going to get into that. There was a U.S. Supreme Court case about that, and he's not even correct in his statement of the law. And some people think that no amendment is absolute. I'm not one of those people. I believe that all of our rights and freedoms are absolute and inspired by God. They're not given to us by the government. They're given to us by God, and we, the people, protect them. And so eminent domain is when a property basically takes private property to use for their own public purpose that they deem better in their hands. It's stealing is what it is. I mean, there's really not any other way to look at it. Let's get on with the video. So this video...
What is it about? Stanford's threatening to steal people's property through eminent domain.
And that's pretty much it. He's there to protest that. And he's got a sign, and I'll show you what it says. The director of security comes over pretty quickly and says, "Hey, dude, you can't have that sign in here." And so this gives you a little history. In 1996, the city of... Well, I didn't read that fast enough. In 1996, the city of New London, Connecticut seized people's homes under eminent domain, promising jobs and economic growth. To this day, nothing has been done with the land, no new jobs or economic growth. And that does happen.
Nice to meet you. Oh, you wrote that
this
article?
This is not a video about eminent domain. I'm not going to get into that on this video. This is about the right to protest peacefully, and he was peaceful, versus other people's right to not be offended. And there is no right to not be offended, just so you know. The Constitution doesn't guarantee you the right not to be offended in this country. And the right to your freedom of offense does not trump my right to free speech. Or it shouldn't. In this case, it did. And we'll show you why.
Yeah.
How'd you hear about the eminent domain thing? What brings you here
I
today?
actually...
This is a reporter that's interviewing him. This is what his sign says. And he's got his...
This is public property.
This is public property?
Yes.
Okay.
It's open to the public.
I'm the chief of security here,
Okay.
right? I can deem this inappropriate for this building.
But
I can deem this inappropriate for this building. Now, he's not a cop, okay? He's the director of security. He's incorrect. He doesn't have the right to deem something inappropriate for the building. It's a public building. This man has the right to be there, even if his sign offends people.
what policy?
By
Or what
the
law?
mayor's policy.
Can I see the policy?
I'll be glad to get the director of operations involved, but this sign, you've got to put this down right now, bro.
I'm not putting
You've
it
got to
down.
leave. You've got to leave then.
I'm not putting
Let's
it
have
down.
a talk. Come on. Let's have a talk.
Let's talk right here.
Let's have a talk.
And that's always a common trick that both, police and in this case, director of security use. They say, let's have a talk, come with me. And then they try to get you off scene. And most people that do these audits, and this is a First Amendment audit, it's what it is, sort of. They know better than to be led astray like that. And this gentleman stands his ground.
Let's talk right here.
Okay. Let's go in the office. Let's go in the office right here.
I'm
Let's go
staying
in the
right
office
here.
right here.
I'm staying right here.
All right, so what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to get the police department involved, and they can explain and go further with you.
I'm just here because I think eminent domain is wrong. It's inherently wrong to steal people's property. The city of Stamford is saying, if you don't give us your property, we're going to take it from you. What's up?
I do, but there is a police on the way.
Okay.
So, any chance you want to step outside, or?
By any chance, have you changed your mind? Do you want to step outside? Nope.
I don't think I have to.
You want to speak with them?
I don't think I have to.
Why do you got this sign up anyway?
Because Stamford is threatening to steal someone's property.
Steal whose property?
Through eminent domain.
What you got to understand is, we can't have this in the lobby, man. It's inappropriate, bro. It's inappropriate.
What?
You can't talk in here.
It's inappropriate, man.
You can't criticize
I
Stamford. If there was a sign in here saying I love Stamford, you guys would completely allow that because it's favorable to Stamford. But since I'm criticizing the city of Stamford, that's why this isn't allowed in
Well,
here.
maybe if you worded it differently.
No, we'd be having the same conversation.
No, that's inappropriate. See, we have children here. Huh?
What's the problem with the sign?
What's the problem with the sign?
Yeah.
The language?
Did you hear that?
Problem with the language?
Yeah,
You don't believe in freedom of speech?
I do, but not
do,
this.
but what?
It's in the.
I do, but not really. I do agree with freedom. And that's another thing that these cops do when the cops get there. They go, look, I admit he has the right to do that. He has the right to protest. And at the same time, they're arresting him for protesting because his sign offended somebody. Watch how the police handle it. That's just, police make mistakes. I get that. But some cops do it routinely and they have a power problem. And you'll see quickly who the bully in this video is when he arrives on the scene. Stay tuned.
Appropriate here in the government center, in the lobby, especially when we have children here in the lobby, man.
Judge of appropriateness, you?
Right now, me. Yeah, right now, me. Right now, me.
Fuck me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They can turn around if they find it offensive.
No,
You don't have to look at it.
no, not here.
Good, how are you?
Good.
Are you guys together or no?
Dun, dun, dun.
I'll answer questions.
Are you all set?
I'm
Do you
all
have any
set.
ID or anything?
Did I do anything wrong?
Well, you're out here with this property sign in front of all.
Okay. Just so you know, most everybody that watches this channel knows the answer to this. When a police officer comes up and asks for your ID, do you have to give it to him? Not always. If you're not suspected of a crime, there's not reasonable suspicion that you've committed a crime, you don't have to identify yourself. Some people don't know that. Police officer, just walks up out of the blue and you haven't done anything wrong. And let's just say you're at the grocery store and you're shopping. You haven't done anything wrong. The cop comes up and says, hey, let me see your ID. 9 out of 10 people in America would reach in their pocket and get their ID. But you're not required to identify yourself to the police if you're not suspected of a crime. Now, if he says, hey, listen, I suspect you're doing this, he can identify you and he can tell you, he can detain you. If the cop says you're detained, you're detained. Now, if he unlawfully detains you, he's going to suffer the consequences of that, but not on the street. You understand? That's where a lot of people go wrong in this country, is they get offended because a cop detains them unreasonably or unlawfully in their mind, and they resist that. That's not good. Don't resist the police. Nothing good comes from you resisting the police. You're not going to win that battle on the street. You're going to win that battle in the courtroom, but you're not going to win it on the street. So just keep that in mind as we go forward.
These people. So you're here to, what was it again? to protest
To protest the use of eminent domain by Stanford.
eminent domain. What what areas are you talking about? Like the South End or anything?
Pulsaki.
Let's talk to him outside.
Yeah, let's talk
Come on,
outside.
please.
This Sergeant.
I don't think I have to go outside.
Come on.
We're gonna talk to you outside.
Do I have to? Are
Yeah,
you?
just keep
are,
your hands out of your
Are you ordering me?
Absolutely.
Yes, you are.
Because
Absolutely.
this
All
is
right.
private
I
property.
want to talk to you
This
outside.
isn't private property, but
You too. You want to come along?
Yes.
All right, come on.
Oh no, that's a mistake. You too. You want to come along? He's not your friend. And don't get me wrong, I respect the police. I think police are largely good, and there are a few bad ones. I don't advocate resisting the police. In fact, I advocate just the opposite of that. But when a police officer says, "Hey, why don't you come on outside with me?" If he's investigating something, you don't have to go with him. You don't have to talk to him. You certainly don't have to follow him outside. And that's where dude in the toboggan here makes a mistake, because he's going to suffer for that here in a minute.
You're right.
this is public property.
We want to find out what's going on, brother.
And he's smiling. He thinks it's all just a good time. He's fixing to find out differently in a minute.
So what's going on? What happened? I want to hear your side of the story. That's it.
I just told you. I'm
I
here.
wasn't here, I'm sorry.
That's all I'm here to do is protest eminent domain.
Do me a favor. Can we? We're gonna.
And another thing, when a police officer said, "Let me hear your side of the story," he doesn't really want to hear your side of the story. He's trying to gather evidence against you. That's one of the mistakes that this young man made, and is following them outside and engaging in conversation with them.
See these two cameras as evidence, right? So what happened? Do me a favor. When he's done, we'll seize the two cameras as evidence.
Okay.
All right. So
Did you just hear that? So now we've identified the bully in the room. Okay. I'm going to back it up just for those of you who are a little slow. And let's pay attention to what.
two cameras as evidence, right?
Domain.
Do me a favor. We're going to seize these two cameras as evidence, right?
Do me a favor. We're going to seize these two cameras as evidence. All right.
So what happened? Do me a favor. When he's done, we'll seize the two cameras as evidence.
Okay.
Do me a favor. When he's done, we're going to seize these two cameras as evidence. Does anybody in the room think that that's legal? Come on. I'll wait. I'm a back the blue guy too. I back the blue, but I'm not one of these that thinks blue can do no wrong. There are people out there that think cops can do no wrong. If there's any on this channel watching this, do you think that that's right? That he says, "Hey, we're going to seize these two phones as soon as they're finished videoing as evidence." No warrant, no consent, no probable cause of a crime. We're just going to seize these two phones. Am I the only one in the room that's bothered by that? I hope not.
So
Because that's going to get worse.
Am I being arrested?
no, I just want to find
Am
out
I
what's
under
going on.
arrest? Then
I'm just what's going on?
Then
you
I'm
wanna
not.
know
I'm not
You have ID on
answering
you?
questions.
Excuse me?
Do you have reasonable suspicion of a crime?
Maybe.
Maybe. That's
Maybe. I don't know. I'm working my way through it.
not good enough. I
Well,
refuse
you can't.
to
If they
give
ask you
my
to get off
ID.
the property, you can't come back.
And I just
We asked you to come out. That's the only reason you came out, though.
okay.
Well, see, this is where the young man makes his mistake. He just says, "Oh, okay." No, that's when he should have headed back inside. I mean, I'm, kind of grading the audit here, but the only reason he came outside was he was complying with your demand that he come outside, which he shouldn't have done because you didn't have probable cause or reasonable suspicion of a crime in order to detain him. And you're going to admit that in a minute, but you haven't quite done that yet.
I refuse to answer questions.
How are you,
Now they don't really know what to do. I refuse to answer. Okay, what does it mean? Okay, well, okay, I'll just improvise.
I'm not sure. Is there anyone that you made an appointment to see to tell them about what you're calling?
Let me see if I can change the subject. Did you actually make an appointment to come down here and see somebody? Or are you just down there with your sign? Does it look like he made an appointment to see somebody with the sign that he's holding? Come on, give me a break.
What's this about?
No.
So you just show up and you expect to be heard like this? Are you a Stanford resident?
I refuse to answer questions.
Oh, you refuse to answer. No worries.
I agree, Angel. Not legal.
Am I being detained?
I'm sorry?
Am I being detained?
Well, you can't go inside the building right now.
Okay.
Notice he didn't answer the question. Am I being detained? Well, you can't go inside the building.
But I'm not being detained.
Even though it's a public government center, you can't go inside because you're being asked to be removed from property. Okay?
I love it when they do this part. This is my favorite part, actually. Even though it's a public government building that you're normally allowed to be in, you're not allowed to go back inside because they've asked you not to go inside. And in a minute, they'll say, even though he has the right to protest peacefully and express his opinion, we kind of we think he offended somebody, so we're going to arrest him for that.
Okay, but I'm not being detained.
No, you're not being detained.
All right.
We're doing an investigation.
Woo! Not being detained. That's a trigger word. That means I can walk away, and he does.
But I'm not being detained.
No, you're not being detained. We're doing an investigation. Okay?
The other guy's sitting there going, wait a minute. Is that it? Is that all we're going to do? You're just letting him walk off? He just looked a little dumbfounded there.
But I'm not being detained.
No, you're not being detained. We're doing an investigation. Okay? Let me just ask him if he wants to speak to him at all.
What's that?
Outside the
I don't know what our boss has said to him, but we just wanted to make sure no one was getting hurt or anything. That's all,
right?
What's that?
They make their appearances.
Yeah,
every now and then.
they got to keep themselves known.
I'm sorry, I don't want to talk for that.
No, you're good. He disappeared in the lobby.
Thank you so much for taking care of that. That was upsetting to the kids.
Yeah,
Okay, what?
So here's the people that are offended. And notice what the cops do next. When she comes over and says, oh my God, thank you so much. Cause how'd she put it? The children were so offended by that.
Thank you so much for taking care of that. That was upsetting to the kids.
Yeah, okay, how many kids do you have here, huh?
We have about, I'm taking them to lunch, so we have
Yeah, so
about 7 kids.
How old?
Teenagers.
The guy
Teenagers?
with the sign.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to leave.
No, don't let him leave yet. Don't let that guy leave either. We're going to seize their cameras.
Okay.
So what happened?
Again, don't let him leave yet because they just told him he wasn't being detained. And now the bully that's inside that wasn't outside when that happened says, no, wait a minute. We haven't stolen their phones yet. Come on, boys. We still have to steal their phones. You can't let them go.
He just showed up in the lobby.
Do you know who this kid is?
No idea.
Okay, we got to find out who he is. But what was he's protesting? I guess some eminent domain stuff.
It's a specific property, I think. I don't know if
this is public property, correct?
I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
So notice they're discussing here. This is specific property, I think. And surely there's a way that we can keep him off of this specific property. The cop says, well, no, it's just public property. Oh, it is? Oh, okay. Well, gee, can we keep him off public property? Is that legal for us to do? Because they're over here like, I don't know. It's kind of a gray area. Is he supposed to have a permit to protest inside? Is he supposed to have one outside? Can he be anywhere protesting? What if he takes that sign home with him? Can we let him do that? Wait till you hear what's done with the sign. Wait till you hear what the judge does with the sign in the very end. You're going to absolutely hee-haw.
See, I'm not too familiar. Does he need a permit to be out there?
Normally it would, yeah.
Out there, not in here.
Out there as well.
Okay. He doesn't have a permit. I think
Usually they would, do some paperwork with cashiering and permitting if they want to have something.
No, but it offended the young kids that were here?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ID this guy. I'll be right back.
Oh.
The lady's complaining that there was teenagers here. They're offended by this sign. There's profanity on there. Basically, I think you do need a permit for a protest, right? I'm not sure on that, but this is public.
I think one person satisfies the requirement for a protest. I think it's got to be a certain number or more.
Okay.
But if he refuses to leave or put the sign down, I think it's breach. Black book him. If you want to sign,
no, just take it 39.
That's what
I would do.
You're not free to leave. You asked me before because we're doing the investigation. Okay.
All right.
Is that fair enough? I feel bad that I don't know your name, so I don't have it in your card.
That's fine.
Right.
He said,
I want to get named.
Is that fair enough? No. He said, you're not free to leave, because we're, I said that before, but I'm changing my mind. Because we're doing our investigation, which means that even though I said you weren't being detained, well, you're really not being detained, but you're not free to leave because we're doing our investigation. And my partner's in there, but there's a lot of gray areas here. It's just, there's so much to consider. Is this public property? Is it specific property? Do you have a permit? Are you required to have a permit? Just hang tight. You're not being detained, but don't go anywhere. It just cracks me up.
I would start with a black book. And if it's accepted, then I go to.
No.
That's just.
What's that?
I said we're on, obviously.
No, I'm on.
Okay.
Just the lady in there goes. Some teenager were offended by I guess by the sign. It's basically it's a breach because it offends other people.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he has his First Amendment right to do it, but I don't know, permit wise as far as that, I'm not sure. I'm gray on that right now, right, Pat?
Okay. So what he's saying is basically it's a breach. What he means is it's a BOP. It's a breach of the peace. That's the terminology they use in this city for like disorderly conduct. This is in Nashville. We call it disorderly conduct. There in Stamford, Connecticut, they call it BOP, breach of the peace. He says basically it's a breach because there's some teenagers in there that were offended by the bad word on the sign. Now, he has the right to be out here and protest, and so he's well within his rights to protest, but he doesn't have a permit, and I'm kind of gray on that. I don't really know, but something has to be done because somebody in there was offended. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too sarcastic.
But if the security asks him to leave and he refuses, that's different. He refused at first. I want to ID this guy. We have to ID him.
I know the other guy is Michael Friend. I don't know who this guy is. Michael Friend.
He
had the case up north with Sergeant Gasparino. He's got all that going on.
Well, if he's over there and he's part of, we can seize his phone and his thing as evidence. Huh? His GoPro, whatever it is. Yeah. Hey. So I'm gonna do it. You know what? It's actually documenting.
He says, "I'm gonna do it." You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna seize it. Damn the Fourth Amendment and the Sixth Amendment and the heck with the Fifth Amendment. Damn all the amendments. They're not absolute anyway. I'm just going to seize it. If this doesn't bother you, it's coming to your door. I've been saying this a while. This fight is coming to your door. It's in Stamford, Connecticut today, but it's coming to a theater near you. Not all cops are like this, but too many people on the scene of this incident right there are okay with people being arrested, and they haven't been arrested yet, but you're going to see in a minute. Just a spoiler alert. These two men are arrested. One of them with the sign for BOP and interfering with an investigation of a police officer. Whatever that means. So he goes to jail for having a sign with the F word on it. The other man, even better, wait for it. Toboggan guy, he was videotaping. That's it. He was videotaping.
Bingo.
Big crime. Let's arrest him and seize his phone. And there are too many people on the scene of this incident, both inside and out. The lady's inside. In a few minutes, the cops go in there and ask her, I need the names of your kids because we need to list them on the report as being offended. And she's like, I can't give you their names. These are special needs kids and they're high schoolers and they're not adults. So I'm not going to give you their name. And he's like, wait a minute. We've arrested this guy because your kids were offended. That's why we arrested him. And so we have to have their names. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, my son was there. So let's just, I can't give you the names of the other people's kids, but I'll give you the name of my son and his age. And they're like, we'll redact it all. I mean, we'll take all their names out and so don't worry about any of that. Just give us the names so that we are, we don't look crazy for arresting this guy because that's why we're arresting him. And the ladies inside are like, man, I sure am glad you arrested that guy with the F word on the sign because, man, the kids were just really troubled by that. They were like, and then she explains how they were troubled. They were like, oh, Mrs. So-and-so, look at that sign. What do you think that sign's about? And then one of the kids saw the GoPro on there and said, is that a bomb? Okay. They're kids. And yeah, they're going to look at somebody like that with a sign and they might be, some of them might be offended by it. Some of them might be anxious about it. Some of them might just be amused with it. Not necessarily offended. In fact, when the guy goes in and talks to the lady, she says, well, I really wasn't offended. I was just kind of shocked by it. And he's like, whoa, wait a minute. I got a body cam on. Don't say that. We've arrested this man for offending you. And now you're saying you weren't offended? Oh my God. Maybe we falsely arrested him. It's comical. And too many cops on the scene of this incident are okay with this. And I'm not okay with it. And you shouldn't be either.
He's on, we're on.
So yeah, we need ID on him.
Okay.
Hey Lou, get his ID please. ID.
He doesn't want to show it.
All right, so he's going 39 then. Excuse me. And you got an ID on him.
And I want you to catch this. They're going to ID him. Okay? He's not suspected of a crime, but get his ID and we're going to seize his phone.
Okay.
Hey Lou, get his ID please. ID.
He doesn't want to show it.
All right, so he's going 39 then.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know what 39 means, in Nashville, we used to call it 10-15. He's going 15. There he's going 39. 39 means he's going to the pokey. We're going to arrest him because he won't show us his ID. And he's holding a sign with the F word on it. Anybody else troubled with this? I know Angel is. By the way, thank you for watching and commenting. And, you know, I mean, get a load of this guy. Hey, Louis bag of donuts. Just get his ID. He don't want to show it. He's going 39.
Excuse me. And you guys go inside, get the names of the people who were offended. There were young kids there and stuff, so.
I would be so embarrassed.
This guy, we need his name too, and we need his phone.
I would be so embarrassed if I was this sergeant. Joey Bag of Donuts. Thank you, Angel. Yes, love your live show. Well, do you like the Shiner? Let me see here. Let me zoom in. Wait a minute. There you go. It's not a very glamorous story at all, so I'm not telling it. But I'll leave it to your imagination how this happened. Maybe I dropped my front guard. I don't know. I'm not telling. So you were going to ask about it. That's because you didn't watch the very first of the show. I mentioned it at the first of the show because it is, you know, of course, people tune in and they're probably going, what in the crap happened to this guy? So, yeah, it's just not, it's not a fun story. But I like to die, is what I'm saying. I mean, really, seriously, it was probably more dangerous than I'm giving it credit. I'll tell what happened at the end of the show.
You don't want to show your ID? I tell you to keep your hands out of your pocket, right?
You're arresting me?
Yes, sir. That's like the fourth time I asked you to keep your hands out of your pocket.
So, I don't know.
He does have a permit and weapon registered to him.
Oh, this is good too.
He does have a permit and weapon registered to him.
Now, do you have any of your weapons on you at all?
So they ran his record and they said he has weapons registered to him. And he's like, do you have any of your weapons on you?
Your weapons holder?
Does it look like it?
Well, I'm going to check right now. But people have concealed weapons under their nuts.
Oh, my God.
So that's why I'm asking you.
What an idiot.
All right. Watch yourself.
Yes, thought you may have started off the show on how you got. No, I didn't tell it. I'll tell it here in a minute.
Can you go through them again, please? Yeah. Just stand right here, sir. She's going to check you out again.
Can I at least have a drink? Do you mind?
Just give me 1 minute. Let her finish what she's doing, okay?
All right, give me 1 minute. I'll give you a drink. Just a minute. Let her finish what she's doing. Now watch this.
All right, turn around. Have you been arrested before? The reason I'm asking is I want you to know how this process works.
If I'm being arrested, then I refuse to answer any more questions.
Okay. Have a seat.
Can I have a glass of water, please?
No, sir. You're not being cooperative. I was just going to tell you how cooperation goes a long way.
What a jackleg. So you're not being, I was going to let you have water, but you're not being cooperative because now you're not answering questions and you invoked that damn Fifth Amendment. And that's not absolute. The Fifth Amendment's not absolute. You don't absolutely have the right to remain silent. And I'd have given you some water if you'd have answered my questions. You big dummy. Jeez. I can't stand cops that are bullies. And I love good cops. Don't get me wrong. Ask any good cop what he hates the most. I say this all the time. He'll tell you a bad cop. They hate bad cops more than they hate bad guys. because bad cops give the good cops a bad name. And bullies like this are the reason we're in such a predicament in this country. Honestly. So
I don't know what's in this since it's open already. It could be like poison or something. And when
I don't know what he's talking about there. So, spoiler alert: guy gets arrested. He goes to jail for this sign.
Well, you don't have to because I can do that. Okay, it's part of evidence.
This is his.
I can do that.
I don't know if it's his
You don't have
buddy.
to because I can.
Sorry, I don't know if this is his true friend. His last name is Friend, so it's a little confusing. His name is Michael Friend, but I'm not sure if he's really friends with the other guy. But he was just out there filming, and he kind of supported the other guy in his quest for holding the sign with the F word on it. And he was just kind of videoing the drama. But because he was videoing the drama, the cops wanted to seize his phone. I mean, this is really Gestapo kind of stuff, folks. This is what they do in China or Russia. This should not be what's going on in Connecticut, in America. It just.
What's your name? I don't consent to this either. I don't consent to it either, right? Okay, and that's.
Back up just a little bit.
What's your name, sir? What's your name?
I don't consent to this.
What's your name? I don't consent to this either. I don't consent to it either, right? Okay, and that's fine. You can do whatever you want, but that becomes evidence because you're here and you're recording
I don't consent to you taking my phone.
Well, you don't have to because I can do that. Okay, it's part of evidence.
That's fine.
Okay, sir, but I just want to find out what's going on. You guys are just doing this here.
Hey, that's fine.
What's your name?
Raise your hand if you think you can do that. Well, he says, I don't consent to you taking my phone. Well, I can do that. Raise your hand. Everybody that thinks he can do that, raise your hand. No, he can't do that. Well, he can. There's a difference between can and legally can. He certainly cannot legally take this man's phone without probable cause or a warrant.
What's his name? Right there, sir. So we got Michael Friend. Okay. And you're with this guy, right? So who is he? But who is he? Do you know him? I mean, listen. I agree. He should be heard. Whatever he wants. I don't care. It's his right to protest. I totally agree. But then he's in there. There's kids in there. They're being offended by that sign. There's about 7 teenagers in there. So what the heck is going on here? They have rights too. Huh? Are you the sergeant? Yes, I am. Well, listen. I'm not here to bust any chops. All right? Me neither.
But I'm telling you, do not roast Michael because you're making a big mistake.
Who's Michael?
So I don't know if you all caught what he just said. I'm going to back it up and play it again. He basically just argues the defense in this case. I agree he has the right to do this. And this guy says an excellent question. Then why are you arresting him then?
I totally agree. But then he's in there. I totally agree. You're with this guy, right? So who is he? But who is he? Do you know him? I mean, listen. I agree. He should be heard. Whatever he wants. I don't care. It's his right to protest. I totally agree. But then he's in there. I don't care. It's his right to protest. I totally agree. But then he's in there. There's kids in there. They're being offended by that sign.
He says, so why are you arresting him then? Well, there's kids in there. They're being offended by that sign. There's like 7 or 8 high schoolers in there that saw this man with the F word on his sign. There's 7 or 8 high schoolers in there that saw a man with an F word on his sign. And this cop thinks that their right to not be offended trumps the man's right for free speech. Angel says, right, he cannot take his phone. Well, he can, but he shouldn't be able to. He can do it because he has the power to do it. Just like here. That man should not be a cop. He is power tripping. That's my whole point here on this channel. We shine a light on power tripping cops because, that's why we have these Bullycam awards. He's getting the Bullycam award for Thursday. It's Bullycam Thursday. And so if you find a cop that's a bully like this and you catch it on tape, it should be the reason he gets fired. I'm just zero tolerance for the bully cam, because that doesn't get better with age. The longer somebody's a police officer and the longer they get away with being a bully like this, the worse they get. That's a true statement. And some of you might disagree with the zero tolerance policy. And normally I don't like zero tolerance policies, but when it comes to bully cops, I got zero tolerance for them. If you're going to be a bully and you're going to violate somebody's civil rights and violate their constitutional rights blatantly without cause, you should be fired. Now, this guy wasn't fired. I'm sure he wasn't fired, but he should be fired. Yes, it is his right to, Angel says it's his right to videotape too. Absolutely. So they end up, to make a long
There's about
story
7
short,
teenagers in there. So
if it's possible at this point to make a long story short. I know I've made this video long, but there was lots of good stuff in different parts of it. And it is a long video. They end up arresting this guy and seizing his phone. He was arrested for videotaping. I can't think of a bigger violation of somebody's rights than that. I mean, you go to a city hall, you go to a city council meeting, and you're out there videotaping some other guy protesting, and a cop thinks you're with him. And that's the whole reason he got arrested, is he thinks they're together. That's when the police ask him, "Are you with him?" The number one reason to remain silent when a cop's asking you questions is because if you answer the police officer's questions, you will likely go to jail and you will likely give evidence against yourself, whether you like it or not. So you should remain silent. When he says, "Are you with him?" I'm sorry, officer, I don't answer questions like that without a lawyer. And a lot of people hate on me for that. They go, "Why are you teaching people to get away with the law?" I'm not teaching people to get away with the law. I don't defend crime. I don't defend the criminal act. I defend the Constitution. And I teach people how to invoke their rights early and often, because I think you should. And I think if more people understood what their rights were and we were all on the same playing field, level playing field, we wouldn't have the trouble between law enforcement and the public that we do today. Cops need to respect the Constitution and respect those who invoke the constitutional rights. If cops would respect the people who invoke their rights instead of getting angry and bullying them into giving up their rights, that's what's going on when you've got a bully cop. He's a bully because you're telling him no. When you tell a cop, it's not easy to tell a cop no. I teach my clients all the time, this is how you interact with the police. This is what you should have done on this occasion. And every time I tell somebody that, they go, "Man, I wish I'd known that 2 days ago. I wish I'd known that 2 weeks ago before I got pulled over." That's why I tell parents, teach your children how to interact with the police. Teach your children how to invoke their constitutional rights. Teach your children how to ask for a lawyer if they're being questioned by the police. Teach your children not to answer questions by the police. Nothing good comes from you answering questions of the police. Nothing, ever. Let me give you a little scenario. The police interview you. You're completely innocent. You say something like, I was in Denver when that bank robbery happened in Nashville. And you interview with the police and you tell them, "I was in Denver and here's where I went and this and such and such and so, and I was with them." Well, when it comes time for the jury trial, if they're putting on evidence and you want to put on evidence of what you told that cop, it's not admissible if it benefits you, unless you testify. So you can't put on evidence of what you told that police officer if it benefits your case. But he can put on all the evidence that you told him that doesn't benefit your case. So if you're being questioned by the police, why would you answer questions? You shouldn't, ever. That's not why I made this video tonight. This video was, Bullycam Thursday. End of the day, they arrest these two gentlemen and seized their phones, and then they go on, they talk to this lady, and that's when she says, "Listen, I can't give you the names of these kids," and then they get upset about it, and they're like, "Well, the whole reason we arrested them is because your kids were offended and we need their names." And so she ends up giving them the name of her son, that kind of thing. At the end of the day, I was going to tell you what happened to the sign. And this is the Bullycam Award winner right here. He's
to go about things. More of a professional way.
I don't even know what he's upset about.
You guys should have other things.
He keeps going on about how he understands their right to protest and the right to First Amendment speech and blah, blah, blah. But he's just gotten through arresting the other guy for doing so. So the first guy goes to jail. His bail was actually lowered. The charges were dismissed later by the judge completely. So he wasn't convicted. And wait a minute. The judge ordered Michael's GoPro returned to him because they seized his phone. And then he ordered that Michael's sign be destroyed. And there it is. See at the top right here, it says destroyed items 1. I just thought that was hilarious. At the end of the day, all charges are dismissed. He's not charged any fines or court cost for the whole ordeal. Everything's dismissed. But they destroyed the sign with the F word on it. God bless America. Makes me just want to sing the national anthem. Man, the boys in blue did a lot of good work on this occasion. And yes, I'm being sarcastic. I would be absolutely ashamed of myself if I were involved in that as a police officer. And they should be ashamed. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Go to YouTube and subscribe. We got a whole bunch of subscribers yesterday for some reason. I don't know why. One of the videos we did not long ago got a bunch of views, and we're just building this channel. So we're baby YouTubers over here. But if you'll share it with a friend and you'll go subscribe to our YouTube and you'll subscribe to our Facebook, eventually we'll grow a following here and it'll get more and more fun. Angel, thanks for commenting and being part of the show. I appreciate you being here tonight very much, more than you know. So this is David Ridings with Crime Time Central. We will be back tomorrow. What is today? Today is, I'm just out of sorts. Oh, I was going to tell you what happened with the old Shiner. Not that anybody out there cares. Angel cares because she asked about it. So we have a basement that has water issues and it's got a sump pump. Well, the sump pump went out yesterday and I'm up here working, getting ready to, I think I'd just gotten back from court and I'm finishing up some work on a previous file. And my wife goes, "Oh my gosh, come down in the basement." So I go down there and it's deep. It's ankle deep in the basement of water because our pump went out. And the sump pump it goes in what looks like a 5-gallon bucket that's in the ground. And you put the pump all the way in and submerge it in water, and it pumps up through a pipe and it pipes out the house. So in order to hook the pipe back up, I had to first get all the water out of the basement. So I hooked this temporary pipe up to the sump pump and I submerge it in the water and I'm bending over, and I didn't have the pipe screwed on well enough. And so when I flipped the switch and plugged the power in, the water pressure blew the pipe off and it blew up in my face. And pretty sure the door swing was right there, and it was kind of behind the door when I was doing it. So I think what I did was hit the door or hit the doorknob, or I don't know if it's the hose or maybe a combination of the two, but it cut me pretty good right there. Bled all day long, but I was able to not stitch it, but and it just turned really ugly blue today. I was, I'd be okay with a black eye, but it's kind of blue and purple. Maybe it'll be black tomorrow. I don't know. So I wish it was a glamorous story. Back in the day, I used to kickbox and my eyes were like this a lot. I have a weird nose and it's kind of crooked it's been broken so many times. So, thank you, David. What happened to the eye? There you go. So, Angel, that was for you. As ill-glamorous as it was. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with another show. In the meantime, you guys keep standing against the darkness, and we will be there with you. Thanks so much.